8 under through 3. Good morning, Mike Schaefer.
Schaefer.
Yeah, I was golfing the other day, and I was also down on my knees, but I wasn't wiping off sunscreen. I just had tweaked my back, and then you just have that, feeling where you're like, okay, this isn't great, but you find a way to work through it. I'm sure Justin Rose will not let a little sunscreen deter his current 8 under and 4-stroke lead.
Are you team spray sunscreen?
Ooh.
Are you team stick on sunscreen?
Great
Are
question.
you team put it in your hands and rub it on your arms and legs and face?
This is a big judgmental moment here.
I don't really have a preference. Whatever the option is to put it on, as long as I think to actually put it on, that's the important thing here. Because I'm not always great about utilizing the sunscreen and protecting myself from the harmful UV rays. And here's the other thing. I'm always bad about putting it on the ears. And then, you get back in after a 5.5 hour, and your ears look like raisins. So, that's got to be a better part of my whole routine, I suppose. But yeah, it makes no difference to me.
You got a go-to club? You got like a club where it's like, that's my club. That's it. This is what I'm hitting. This is what my old trusty what?
It changes. Obviously, if I can go driver to pitching wedge, that's kind of the ideal scenario for me with the course that I play the most.
Sure.
But if I can't do that, probably the 8. I feel good about an 8. If it's a longer shot, if I'm having to go, anywhere from 190 to 200, I don't mind the 5. The 5 has become useful in the last year or so. But largely, I try to avoid this is weird because I think a lot of people like the club, but I don't hit my 7 very well. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
I try to avoid the 7. I'll hit the 6. I'll hit the 8. But just stay away from the 7.
Long iron Mike.
Sometimes I don't know. That's when you don't have any consistency in your swing and your swing path, it's hard to be particularly adept at any of the clubs. But the 5 tends to be the way to go.
You're popular in Masters draft. No one ever drops out because I haven't gotten an invitation.
Yeah,
Are you required before the draft at some point to go buy a large refrigerator or something that you can have the box so you have the chart that you can put all the picks up on?
One of the guys in the auction draft is involved in plumbing sales, and so he has access to refrigerator boxes or water heater boxes or what have you. And so we always have one of those on hand, and it's kind of like the defining symbol of that whole thing. So I did not walk away feeling good about my team. That includes both Dustin Johnson and Max Homa, neither of which off to a particularly good start here. So I'm going to need a little help if I'm even going to get 4 into the weekend.
Hey, so yesterday, Mr. Dana Holgerson and EJ Barthel, hit the podium, and there was a lot of running back talk. Just in general, Mike, how do you feel about the running back room right now after everything you know and everything you've heard?
I mean, I feel good about Emmett Johnson. Should he be healthy, I think he's going to be a valuable weapon. I think that there is a chance that he's the most productive running back Nebraska's had since Amir Abdullah in what was that, 2014? So I think that's all on the table. Just got to stay healthy. I don't feel great about what's behind him because I don't know enough about Quentin Ives. I haven't seen enough Quentin Ives. Mekhi Nelson is getting a lot of run. Some from the coaching staff who I think are trying to keep it a little under wraps, or not necessarily under wraps, but not trying to blow it up too much. But from people that have been at practices in larger portions than us in the media have, Mekhi Nelson has done quite well this spring. And so that's definitely going to be a name that I'm intrigued to see when they play Cincinnati, how they utilize him. But as a whole, I feel better about the idea of how Nebraska plans to use its running backs in 2025 than I did certainly in the room or in its execution in 23 and 24. So overall, I mean, I would say I feel fine, but if there's one injury to Emmett Johnson, how is anyone going to feel good about a room where there's no production behind them? Yeah. So it's kind of a twofold question, like I feel good about Emmett, and I've come full circle with that. And I think Gary would know as well as anyone how I feel about, or how I have felt about the running back room in recent years. But one injury and we're right back to where I had no confidence in it whatsoever.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk quarterback, not the current guy on campus who has had a nice spring, but let's talk 26-27 because Jet Tomala got an offer from Iowa yesterday, and he was at Ohio State just on a visit the day before, and he's starting to rack up offers, and he's got a chance to win another state title at Millard South. Braylon Warren, Steve Warren's son at Westside, is starting to pick up some offers where you go, but they both don't have Nebraska offers. Your thoughts on Nebraska's opinion on both of them, but also with the caveat, Nebraska's got their 26 quarterback, Dayton Raiola, and then we're going to sit here and wait now less than a month. Trey Taylor, who is a 4 or 5-star quarterback in the class of 27, Nebraska is in the mix. What's your opinion on how they're trying to shape the post Dylan Raiola era at quarterback?
I think they have their guys that they're interested in at the quarterback position, and unfortunately it doesn't include either in-state guy. Full in-state strategy has shifted pretty heavily to the point where it was a little bit surprising to me that, and it shouldn't have been, because you could make a case he's the best player in the class for 2026, and I wouldn't push back hard on it. In Jones from Omaha North picking up that offer last Friday. And so they have only a handful of offers out in 2026. They have a few offers out to the Torrey Pittman and to Kylan Haney in 2027. I don't get the feel that they're heavily invested in Nebraska's in-state prospects over this next couple of cycles here. And I don't know if that's because things didn't go particularly well with in-state players when they have gotten here. I don't know if that's just a product of where they're at with the 105 and how they want to kind of build and do things going forward. And I think the quarterbacks kind of fall in that mix too. And I think there's fair questions for both Jet Tomala and for Braylon Warren. I mean, the last time we saw Braylon Warren, again, only a sophomore, he really struggled in that Class A championship game. And that was the biggest moment, biggest game. And, you would wanted to have seen a little bit better. Jet Tomala played better in that game. I've seen Jet several times. I'm not surprised that he's an FBS quarterback. I'm little surprised as much power for interest has been generated there. As again, he is the best quarterback in the state, but he's also on a team that is just awash with talent. Like the talent gap of what Millard South's offense is versus every defense that they play. And this isn't to take away from any of the guys over there. They're all great players. They deserve the offers that they're getting. It's just hard to know what those guys are actually going to be. The more interesting thing to me is Nebraska's not even having conversations. They haven't talked to Braylon Warren or attempted to talk to Braylon Warren since he was on campus for the UTEP game. Jet Tomala told me last summer that he hadn't heard anything from Glenn Thomas since Glenn Thomas had arrived at Nebraska. And so there's clearly not interest from Nebraska's side in these two guys, and that's fine. I mean, they're doing well, and they're going to have plenty of opportunity to go somewhere else. So Nebraska has identified other quarterbacks, Dayton Raiola being one of them. And then, of course, you mentioned Trey Taylor. And if they're able to get that, they shut down their 2027 quarterback recruiting, and they move forward with everything else. It's just an interesting time watching them go from heavily invested to everything happening in state to really pulling back.
I think one of the bigger things said yesterday by Dana Holgorsen is that freshman wide receivers, Cortez Bills and Isaiah Mosey, are going to be a factor in the fall. Mike, are you surprised?
No, not in the slightest. Those guys came here to play. They came here to play early in their careers. Cortez Mills, I think, was underrated, which is weird to say for a guy who was in the top 247. But this was someone who didn't get his offer because of track times. He didn't get his offer because of projectability. He got his offer because he is a physically built, gifted 18-year-old who has nuances and understanding of the wide receiver position that seem to go far beyond his 18 years. I mean, he's not going to be a burner, and he's not going to be 6'6", but he is a 6'2", 200-pound wide receiver that can, or I don't know if he's up to 200 at this point, but he's right around there, that has a good understanding of the position. He has a good feel for how to get open. He has a good feel for where to sit down into his zone. He has a good feel for how to catch the ball and avoid taking big hits. And that's all I've heard from people that have watched him so far. And then Mosey is really talented as well. And he's a lot bigger than I think there was this idea that he was like a 5'10" wide receiver that, was going to be a burner on the outside or was going to have to be more quick and fast and make people miss. No, I mean, this is a guy that's at least my height, and I'm right around 6'1", and he moves well. And again, I just don't think people were prepared for the idea that these freshman wide receivers didn't come here to wait on anybody. Similar to Ja'Cory Barney, they're good enough to play, and there's opportunity in front of them. They came here as early as they could to get this spring. And so, am I expecting them to lead the team in receiving? Absolutely not. But I don't think either is heading anywhere near a red shirt. And it wouldn't surprise me if they have similar seasons to what we saw from Ja'Cory Barney last year. Different ways of getting there, but just productive starts to their careers.
Hey, in my man cave depth chart for the interior offensive line, I had it all set. I got Sam Sledge as my center. I got Justin Evans at one guard. I got Rocco Spindler at the other. And a little bit of it is I've seen Justin as a center, and I wasn't enthralled with the snapping. And I think he's a better guard. But then Dana Holgorsen talks yesterday, and he drops this quote, he can be as good a center that exists in college football. So if he's going to be the starting center, who's going to be that guard?
Yeah, well, and then you don't have Henry Lutovsky because it sounds like they want him as a right tackle, which was sort of a fascinating development I didn't see coming either this offseason. I'm not surprised by Evans at center. We don't speak highly of Scott Frost very often, but this was a guy that Scott Frost really believed in, and Justin Evans, that was a recruitment that he went out and made happen. Someone that early in his high school career had Alabama and all the top-level teams. He just didn't grow to the projectable length that I think some teams wanted. Nebraska didn't care. They saw someone who was highly athletic that could play in the interior offensive line, using as a little undersized, and they wanted that. And now this Nebraska staff is going to reap the benefits of it. As far as the other interior offensive line spot, it is sort of interesting how that might play out. I mean, you could have someone like Sam Sledge could end up as an interior, as a guard. You have some of the younger guys like could have Preston Talmua make a move as a redshirt freshman. He's on the interior. Landon Davidson's on the interior. Does a Turner Corcoran come back and then you put him at guard and see if he can cash in on that immense potential when he first signed in 2020. So there's a lot of different ways that this thing can go. And I am really curious about what ultimately it looks like on that line, because we've spent a lot of time talking about the tackle position, and it seems like they have a pretty clear path as to what they want to do there. You're going to have Elijah Pritchett at left tackle, and you have at right tackle the options of Lutovsky and Gunnar Gatula. Teddy Prohaska comes back. He could be playing, backup left tackle to Pritchett or up on the right side. And so there's just different ways that this can all look and can all go. But that other guard spot opposite of Spindler is going to be a conversation all throughout the spring and into the fall. They have a lot of options. It's just how do you get your best five onto the field, or the best five that play together onto the field.
When you hear Dana's comments about how when you go from the veteran guys to the younger guys, there's a noticeable drop off, are you worried at all about the depth of the O-line?
I think they're deeper, but I think they're very inexperienced. Like I'm excited about what I have seen from the physical transformations of a Talmua or a Grant Bricks or a Landon Davidson, or some of those other guys that have been there a little bit longer. And then they even have some freshmen that are on campus. I think Houston Kahina Torres is going to be a name that we're talking about on Nebraska's offensive line at some point in the next couple seasons. But a lot of this is they don't have the reps. I mean, think about what they're replacing in terms of Ben Scott, Bryce Benhart, Mazuka. But these guys played a lot of football. And so to replace that, you're talking about people that have not played near the amount of football. I mean, that's one of those things that happens here when everyone just gets endless eligibility coming off of the extra COVID year. I mean, Bryce Benhart made 60 starts in his Nebraska career. Like that's a lot of production to replace, and that's a lot of opportunity that someone else didn't have. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just, I wouldn't expect this to be an experienced offensive line with what went out the door this past week or past year.
Let's sneak baseball in here before we get you out, because you know baseball, and nobody knows what this team is going to do. What do you think happens in Iowa City this weekend? Nebraska's in a tie for 12th, which gets you into Omaha. Iowa has been really good, especially on the mound. They're second in the Big Ten. Nebraska just went to Lawrence and beat a really good KU team. It's a weekend series in the Big Ten in Iowa City where they got swept in 2023. What happens this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting how Iowa handles Nebraska's bats, because I don't think they've faced a team as talented as Nebraska. And I know that's sort of funny because they're sitting 12th in the standings. But look at the schedule that these two teams have played. Nebraska has, they lost in some of the games that were expected to be wins, UNO, Creighton, things like that. But Iowa hasn't played an Oregon State. Iowa hasn't played an LSU. Iowa hasn't played a Vanderbilt. Iowa hasn't played even USC. So Nebraska's gone against top teams, and Iowa's schedule generally is built to pad a bunch of wins. And how they do in Big Ten play is sort of how they are as a team. That's why they're not an at-large team generally. They have to win the Big Ten to get in. That shouldn't diminish what they've done. It's just, I think Nebraska has faced challenges, so I don't know that they're going to look at Iowa and their pitching staff and think, oh no, what are we going to do here? But they still have to execute. We still need to see Max Butenbach continue this upward swing. I mean, if he turns into the guy that was dominating the Northern League, Nebraska added a little more length to their lineup and has a little more stability there. If some of the other guys continue to hit in the way that they did in the Rutgers series, that's going to be big for Nebraska. The biggest thing, though, is their bullpen. I mean, can they get from innings 5, 6 all the way to Broderick at 9 without giving up too many runs? I worry they don't have enough pitching to survive in some of these scenarios, and they need to stack wins. I mean, they have to come out of this with a 2-1 series at least. They really could have used a sweep on Sunday against Rutgers. But it's a really intriguing series between two programs that have no love for each other. So we'll see how that kind of all plays out. But I don't think Nebraska looks at Iowa and thinks, oh man, this is one of the top teams we've played. But they have to look at it like, we got to go win some games here, and we need to show what we can do. I mean, how many ranked teams has Nebraska already beat this year?
4. Three ranked teams, 4 ranked wins.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I mean they're clearly capable of playing against anybody on a schedule, but can they show consistency, and then can they get it done on the mound? I mean, if they revert back to the team that Gary, I think, was there at the game that walked however many batters against UNO in the midweek, like, you're not going to win games. Like they have to limit the free passes. The pitching has to be better. You need good Drew Christo. You need good Worley. You've got to be able to get the ball to Broderick, and he's got to be able to slam the door. So it comes down to their bullpen for me as much as anything. If Walsh and Jackson Brockett and Horn can give you a little bit of length and get you into those middle innings, then you need the rest of them to pitch well enough to get you home.
Yep, they do get Timmerman back this weekend. Schaefer, should be a fun weekend in Iowa City. As always, appreciate it. Enjoy the Masters.
See you, Mike.
All right. Have a good one, guys.